called this one, "The Country Has Changed, You Need to Too." We'll just wait for a few people to join us and I'll take some questions as we go. But I've been doing a lot of writing over the last little while and reflecting, given that Money Mail is now 5 years old. And I'm sort of coming to the conclusion that the country has really, really changed and that it's probably not going to go back and that we're starting to see it, but we can't figure out how to transition into how it's going to be. And I think over the last 5 years, we've kept the change. We have discovered some of those ways to do it, and a number of you will be completely understanding of what I talk about over the next probably 20, 30 minutes. You can come back and watch this. I might even try and release it as a podcast as well. But I think people are feeling like it's really hard at the moment, and they were hoping that it was going to get better because they were told survive to 25, and if you survive to 25, then 25 will magically be better. But now I think a lot of people are getting to the middle of 2025 and going, shit, this feels like just as hard as 2024, if not harder. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better or getting any better. However, remember that the peak of interest rates paid to banks was the March quarter. So we're now past that. So, the December quarter. So the March quarter was the first time that had decreased. So if you think about it like a graph, like the OCR went up and it kind of stayed there, and then they started tanking it. But interest paid to the banks is like more smoothed, so it goes like this. And so we're finally there. And then this year, it'll start to go like this. But it won't go like that. It'll go like that because interest rates roll off like that, right? So it's not just going to happen quickly, but this year, remember, most people said in the back half of 2025, we might start to feel like the economy is feeling better. But we're not there yet. We're not at the back half, but soon we will be. But I think a lot of people got caught into thinking that it would just be better in 2025. We're still seeing people leave. We're still seeing people close their businesses down. We're still seeing high unemployment. And there wasn't too much in the budget that made you sort of go, oh shit, there's heaps of money going to get washed into the system. So then what can you do? Now, I want to take you back to 5 years ago to start with, and then we can start to step through it. Because in 2020, in August, I went live just like this, but I didn't really have any followers. And I'd come back from a run, and today I've come back from a sauna, so I was reflecting on this in the sauna, hence why I look the state of me. I'm still trying to cool down, but I was cooling down from my run, and I was thinking, fuck, there are stores everywhere where there's nobody in them because we're in the middle of the pandemic. But people are getting paid, and people don't seem to be too worried. Yes, we were worried about the pandemic, and that was really new, but it was almost like fear-inducing excitement for some people. What's going on here? But I was looking around thinking, how is it that when I grew up, I was told, if you want something, you have to work for it. But now, I was having to do that. I was out there still trying to, look after my clients and do my work and get paid. But other people were like, oh, I'm at home playing Xbox. I can't go to the barber. So I was looking over at a barber and I was thinking, fuck, those people are getting paid, but the work's not getting done. This is weird. This is not normally how it is. Okay, where's that money going to come from? Now, I guess if we think backwards, we know, we had to get that money from somewhere and wash it through the system. And economically, the pandemic wasn't as tough as what a lot of the powers that be thought it was going to be. Now, let's stick to economics and finance rather than the health side, but let's tank the interest rates and let's flood the system with money to keep the whole thing turning over. Now, what did that mean? Well, all of a sudden we had an economic boom. But just think about it. If we all got given $10,000 tomorrow into our households, we'd probably see an economic boom too, right? Because we wouldn't all become pro-investors and shit. We would go out there and we'd start spending it. So we got caught in like a false sense of, oh shit, okay, this pandemic thing's not so bad. But then of course inflation came along. So inflation then came along and said, oh, right, we're going to keep bidding up the prices of everything. There's supply chain issues, etc. And then we started to notice this, but some people noticed it sooner than others. But the Reserve Bank have to react and they have to go, oh, now we need to slow this down. We can't have inflation here for too long. Right, we're going to put interest rates up on everybody and we're going to strip all of this excitement and froth out, and you need to get away from the the auctions for homes and whatnot, chill out and get back into it. Now, unfortunately, then it was sort of like, oh, that'll go by quickly, but it didn't, and it's taken some time, and inflation's still pretty sticky, but we just don't talk about it as much. So really now, we're 2 years into a recession, effectively, where it's felt shit, okay? So for that's 24 months, it has felt tough out there. So of course, it's still going to feel tough. But at the time, when I was recording my live in 2020, most people were just sort of like, oh, whatever. But now we're paying the price for some of the ease that we probably had through that period. But what I think has happened as well, if you think about that, how did the economy stay stable? Well, and how did they flood so much money in and tank interest rates? Why did they do that? They thought the whole economy was just going to tip over, right? And why? Well, maybe they didn't understand that the economy is more resilient than what they thought it was. So we had internet infrastructure. We had the ability to take meetings online, to work from home. And not everybody could do that, but then we went through like, okay, what's essential? And slowly, like we actually kept the economy running fairly well. And I think whoever thought that it was going to be harder than what it was to keep it going. But what does that tell us? There's a lesson in there. And that is that the world has massively changed. Now, if you think about it, if we didn't have internet, we couldn't go live like this, and we didn't have Shopify, and we didn't have online stores, and click and collect, and delivery drivers, and all these solutions that the market created leading up to this, and we were all still working in factories, they probably needed to flood the system with money and lower interest rates, and everyone was probably fucked economically, right? But that's not what happened. So I think for a lot of us, we can't see that the type of economy that we now live in is very different to what people still think the economy is. And when we celebrate, big business and stuff, we celebrate big factories and exporters and whatnot, which is great. There's nothing wrong with exporting to the world. That's what we need to be doing. But then we still think like that. And we still have a lot of baby boomers who are older, who have the wealth too, who are like have that sort of recency bias of, okay, that's what it is. But I speak to people all the time that are doing cool shit that aren't doing traditional things, and they're doing really well. And I think, shit, how are they not struggling? How are they not worried about their income? How are they growing their income? How are they then investing? How are they doing things differently? How do they see these opportunities? And I think it's because they're not looking at the old world. They're looking at the new world that we're in and that we've been in, but a lot of us can't see. So, in my live video in 2020, I was saying, to keep it really simple, if they're just going to put money into the system, things are going to become more expensive, or the money that you had before they created money and put it into the system is going to be worth less. And then we got inflation. So all the time I'm banging on about increasing your income. Now, I know that that's not fashionable, and for years people probably didn't get it, and it was like, chill out, why do you need to do that? But if we don't teach people ways to do that, then we don't teach them how to get back in control of their own income. So a lot of the people that I see that are doing really well, they are in control of their income, and they are learning ways to be in control of their income. So a saying that I often use over this last 5 years with Money Mail and Keep the Change is skills pay the bills. Because we now live in a world where you get paid for the skills that you have. But a lot of us got taught that you get paid for the hour that you give to somebody else. But that's not really how it works. Now, imagine if everybody learnt that actually they could then sell their skills, what the country would look like. You would have a lot of people that still wouldn't want to do that, and they would go, that's not for me. But I think there's a big subsection of Kiwi people that haven't learnt that, and if they do learn that, then they could be more in control of their income. Because I want to remind you that the budget came out last week, and Treasury forecasts that wages growth will be 2.6% through to the 2029 year. So that's 26, 27, 28, and 29. Okay, 2.6%. But house price inflation is expected to be 6% in every one of those years compounding. Goes up by 6%, goes up by 1.06 on top of that 6, same again, same again. So that's broken. Why would, if you have to go to work and you're not in control of your income, then the Treasury data is basically saying you're going to get left behind. If it's a property that is the asset you're trying to buy with that cash, because the growth of the property is going to happen faster than your wage increase. So the data is basically there, like put in front of us. And it's like almost we can't see it. And that we're almost being laughed at this stage. They're expecting house prices to increase. I think they'll get it wrong, and I don't think it will increase by 1.06 or 1.06, 1.06. Nothing works like that in markets. And 2.6 is probably not right either. But it's over double what wage inflation is. So for the average person that's not listening to this and probably not thinking about this stuff, Treasury thinks, well, they might get a 2.6% pay increase each year for the next 4 years, but the house that they want to buy is going to go up by more than double that. Fuck. How's that going to, do you think that's going to play out well? Doubt it. But we're already here. And this is what we saw through the pandemic too. Why do we think so many people are leaving New Zealand? They leave New Zealand and they say, well, I'll be a chance of buying a property in Australia. Well, if you go and have a look at Australia, they've got all the same issues that we do, but people are moving from into higher paying roles in Australia, and maybe they feel like they've got some hope and that they can earn more and that they can achieve property purchasing. So we're already seeing people figure this out without probably really knowing it. And shout out to Fresh Money. I did a podcast with him recently. He's just joined, and I try and unpack some of this on here as well. And part of what I spoke about on that podcast is because I've been thinking a lot about this stuff. So check it out once it comes out. But anyway, the reason I think these people are leaving is because they know something's broken. They don't probably know to this degree. They're just like, I can get paid more in Australia and I can get on the property ladder, and that's what I want to do. That's my goal. Then I'm out of here. See you later. Now, the scary thing is that we could see more of that if house prices do increase by 6% every year, but people's wages don't increase. Or we might have people go, well, I don't want to work to then get taxed on that, to if I could just be buying property, and that we've seen that over the years as well. So if you're going to get taxed at 33 or 39%, and then you're going to lose a big portion of that to tax, but then your property is going to go up and there's no tax on that, then do you want to work and get taxed on that, or do you want to buy assets that don't get taxed and then borrow against those in the future to have more money and have those serviced by people paying rents? Anyway, that's a big tangent, but it's part of the framework and it's part of what we're already seeing. So I think, to reiterate again what I often say, if you don't learn to get in control of your income, like, this country is going to be hard. And that sucks. And I don't know how loud I can say it. And I don't even like coming on here and telling people that that's part of it. But the data is there, that your wages aren't going to increase, but house prices are. And if no one's telling you how to increase your income, you're just going to get surprised in the future when you realize that you haven't kept up with asset inflation, or with the lifestyle that you want. You can't afford it. So there are so many ways that you can increase your income. And there's a video, how to increase your income $10,000 in 2025. You could start there, but you're going to have to think about different ways to do it, because the tax settings in this country basically reward holding assets and then not paying any tax on those. So I don't make the rules. It just is what it is. It'll change in my lifetime. Sure as hell about that. But we have an aging demographic that we have to pay for in terms of pensions. It's our biggest spend every year. So we didn't means test that in the budget last week, but we means tested KiwiSaver. If you earn over 180k, that got taken from people. We means tested benefits for people that are 16, 17 living at home that can't get jobs. And I think we means tested working for families, but we didn't means test anything to do with pensions, because that's too scary. But maybe one day that comes. But in the meantime, you need to find ways to control your income and your household's income, because no one's going to come and do it for you. It's not the government that are going to come and do it. Like, they didn't do a budget last week and be like, we've found a way to increase everyone's wages. They said, oh, well, if we do all of this shit, we think your wages might go up 2.6%. But your property's going to go up 6% in that same time. Don't really make sense to me. So if you don't want a 2.6% wage increase, you're going to have to find ways to put more money into your back pocket. So part of what you need to think about is that the world is no longer a factory type industrial world. It is a knowledge and skills-based world. I talk to people that I interview on the podcast, and I try and plant seeds for listeners to see what other people are doing to make $1, to hopefully spark you to go, oh shit, I could do that. And there's some cool ones coming up with different people that are doing cool shit that hopefully this will tie into. But I won't spoil those. But have a look at Max recently. He goes out and he starts cleaning cars. Now, there's a big lesson there. Now, that young lad, I'm sure he'd be okay with me saying, like, he's turning over hundreds of thousands of dollars cleaning people's cars. Now, there's another big lesson there. We got taught, like, go to the Foursquare, go to the Meatworks, go to the factory and swap your hour for dollars. Max is like, I'm going to go to people who value their car being cleaned, and it's evolving right now into the AI world. Yeah, I'll come to AI too. And I'm going to clean their car because they value it, and they're going to pay me a couple $100. That's a lot different to getting paid $30 an hour, 40, 50, right? So you have to think about it too, going back to the aging population, they have all the wealth. Now, what don't they have? They don't have time. So they value convenience. And they are the ones that have all of the cash and the assets. So who are more likely to spend in a tight economy? People who are broke or people who have the money? It don't take an accountant or an economist to work that out. So people who are doing well, who have problems, who value paying to have them fixed, are great people to sell things to. If we don't learn that, that's how an economy works. But a lot of us got taught, work hard, keep swapping hours, do more, you might get time and a half. If you can find things that you're good at, and they're not even that hard to find, or that you can do that people value, you can earn more money than you ever thought was possible. And I'm not saying that, everybody's got to go out there and be a business owner. All I'm saying is that it'd be fucking nice to be able to increase your income if you wanted to or if you needed to, right? Yeah, I got 2 tea bags in there. Oh, shit. I think my mum's watching too. Where'd you get these peppermint tea bags from, Mum? Bloody hell. Miranda Organics. So, look, if everybody's standing around a lake and there's fish in there and you're the person who doesn't know how to fish, but everyone's hungry, like, you'd probably want to know how to fish, right? You're going to be diving in there trying to get one. People are like, oh, well, this is exactly what you do. So you can learn from people that know what to do and that know how to create cash and know how to make money. Learn from them. Watch them. Whether it be Airbnb, selling stuff, cleaning cars, cleaning gutters, cleaning decks, anything. But you've got to go to where the money is, because the government is basically saying in this budget, we're not coming to save you. And Nevada Organics done, yes, Mum, well done. Are they Pam's or some shit? Anyway, we're not coming to save you. Your employer's not coming to save you. They're worried about whether they can pay their PAYE bill or not. So you've got to think, how am I going to save myself? How am I going to go out there and make some extra income if I need to or if I want to? Otherwise, you are going to default to, okay, maybe I go to Australia, or maybe the world sucks, or I'll wait till the next budget, or I'll wait for the government to change, or I'll wait for capital gains tax, or I'll wait for my employer to give me a pay rise. You can't hope and wait. There is so much money out there. There's never been more money. So there is hundreds of billions of dollars in transaction accounts. How do you not make sense of being able to take some of that out of other people's bank accounts and go, you know what, it's actually better in mine. It's better to feed my family and to go towards my goals than sitting your term deposit, rotting away, waiting to be passed down to the next generation or just eaten away with inflation or whatever is going to happen with it. Economies work well when the money flows through it. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. People won't pay you if they don't value what they do. So think about, you need to do some brainstorming around what your income answers could be. Right, on my list here, income into your own hands, 2 years into recession. We could be even longer in a recession too. Like, it could be some time before the economy is actually growing where you don't have to worry about this shit and I'm irrelevant and these lessons don't work. But at the moment, when you're being sold marketing of grow, 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 and let's get moving, and let's get this going, and let's get growing, and fucking whatever, and it's not happening, of course, you're going to be like, oh, this is conflicting with, what I'm being told is supposed to happen. Because it's not happening. But there are still people doing really well. And how are they doing it? By adding value to other people's lives and making a decision to do that, and then asking, will you pay for that, or you need to pay for that. So there's still plenty of money out there. Now you need to be very careful, the people that you're spending time with. Because if you hang around people that constantly tell you that you can't get ahead, you can't make money, there's not any money out there, it's all cooked, what are you going to believe? If you keep flicking on the news and you're not aware of it, it is some grim shit, man, on that every night as well. And it's just more data about how it's not going well. But then there's never any solutions. I'll give you the data and I'll be realistic about it, but at the same time I'm like, okay, so we better dig in. You know, reminder, I'm in this economy too, and I've got to figure this stuff out. Factory workers, okay, it's slowly changing. Yep, we've done that. But I do want to touch on, you know, as an example too, that I went to the football last weekend, and there were 29,000 people there. And people were buying beers, they were lining up for them, they were buying food, the food stores were busy. And then I hear that at the Wars game the next day, the same amount of people were there, or at least 25,000 people. So people are, like, they have money. And that shows you the whole thing isn't fucked. And that everybody hasn't left to Australia, and that nobody can afford not to do anything. There's 29,000 people watching a football team in their first year. That was an idea 18 months ago, and someone brought it to life. It shows you that you can still create and build and get people to do shit and activate people in the hardest economy that we've seen for decades. So again, like, how do they do it? Community, sport, getting close to something, excitement, success, feeling a part of something. Very, very important shit. How did all of those people make sense to give their paycheck over to go to the football? Because they valued it. They made the decision. What about the next day? Same with the Warriors. What about all their sponsors? People decided we're going to sponsor this. And then the Uber drivers, etc. will take you there. But the money's flowing through the economy. So you've got to start to spot, like, money flows and who's got the money. Where do you sit? Like, how can you get closer to it? Because unless you are directly tied to the government or credit getting created out of, you know, mortgages, etc., you're not too close to the money flow. So you've got to figure out where you are in that. And the closer you can get to it, the easier it's going to be for you to make sense of getting your hands on some of it. So if you think about it, if you're an Uber driver and you know there's 29,000 people that are going to be going to and from Mount Smart on Saturday, are you going to go fucking drive your Uber in Pukekohe for the night? No, you're not. You're going to go drive your Uber close to Mount Smart because you've got to get closer to the money. So you've got to put thought into where this is. Otherwise, it is going to be hard. And it's not just going to happen for you. And you are just going to have to wait for the economy to get better to then go, okay, I got my pay rise or whatever. How can you add value to your employers, in your own life, to your neighborhood, in your community? And think about showing up. Now, on that, showing up, people don't want to do it. When it's hard, hardly anybody shows up. It's even harder to show up. So this is a great time to actually leapfrog and to get ahead and to stand out, because if you're willing to do things that others aren't, then you'll get things that they don't get. So how do you do that? Well, firstly, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to look after your mind. You've got to look after your health. You've got to look after your physical. You've got to eat well. And you've got to smell good, maybe. I'm a big fan of smelling good. This is Sauvage. This is sponsored. This whole thing was actually a massive plug for Dior Sauvage. But honestly, look good, feel good, something I got taught early on. And when I was rolling into my first jobs and shit, lacking a bit of confidence, I'd be like, at least I fucking look and smell good. Okay, I got two things going for me. And half the people in here don't have that. So, right, I might stand out for that. Now I better actually just learn how to be good at this. So, if you can't keep your brain good because you're feeding it shit, and then your body as well, and those things are intertwined, well, what do you expect your outcomes to be like? So you've got to look after that stuff too. And you've got to be careful what you're putting into here, your whole thing, because that's what's going to be your outputs. Nutrigrain, when we're growing up, you only get out what you put in. So be careful with all of that stuff as well. But remember that other people won't. And they'll just feed themselves bad stuff, and then they'll get bad results as well. And that sounds really ruthless, but that's going to happen in a recession. And that's probably why, like, a lot of people are going to events too, because they're searching for some enjoyment and some fun and some excitement, because other things are tough in their life. But be very careful. Like, make sure you look after yourself, both physically and mentally, because it's very hard to do all of the stuff that we talked about for the first 20 minutes without looking after your mind and your body. So, some key podcasts, if you haven't listened to them: How to Think, There's a video pinned to the profile on how to increase your income by $10,000 in 2025. That puts the control back in your hands. There's a podcast on that too. You can search all podcasts if you just use words in the search in the catalog, and you'll be able to find some of these. What else is in there? So how to think, how to increase your income, get closer to the money. Mike and I do a whole pod on that. If you need to tidy up your household finances and whatnot, then 2 Ticks You. It'll take you an hour to get through. But I've built all of these resources over the last 5 years. I could see this shit coming. I could see where we were going. In August 2020, to take you back to the start, I'm standing in the street live on Facebook being like, fuck, something's broken. My money is going to be worthless on the other side of this. I need to figure out what's going on. I'm sorry, I didn't get the message to you sooner. And then maybe if you're new around here, but some people have been on the journey for longer and they get it, and it probably makes a bit more sense. But there's a lot of resources there to help you. I hope that you use them and you go on your own journey. Everybody is at their own start line and they've got their own goals. And it's not for me to tell you what your goals are. $1,000 might be fine, 10,000, or it might lead you to 100. But there are so many podcasts to keep feeding you the right sort of thinking that's going to be tidier than the shit that you're going to see over on that. Some questions as I go. I wanted to get to Aussie. I got a job with Profit Share, basically running this small company now. Makes no sense to leave now. Oh, wicked. Okay. So they were thinking about going to Australia. Now they've got a job with Profit Share. So now they're in control more of their income. And that's then inspired them to stay here. So not everybody's going to be in that situation, but let's take the principles. They're probably wanting to go because they're not in control of their income. Now they are. And they're running a small company. And it makes no sense to leave now. So how have they made sense of staying? Well, getting in control of their income. I bang on about it all the time. I don't know why we don't talk about it more. It's like sacrosanct, is that the word, or blasphemy in New Zealand. But it's okay to find ways to increase your income. Like 33% of people have got a side hustle these days or something. But you can just think about all the different ways. 2 Ticks You is a webinar where I go through and help you think about all the different ways that you could add some money to your household. And it's not about hustling either. Someone said to me, I don't want to be hustling. Well, good. You need to fucking sell skills. How are you making sense of what you're earning at the moment? Someone hustled you. If you want more time with your family and whatnot and don't want to hustle, well, sweet. Think about how you can earn more by selling valuable things to people that value them, that are willing to pay for them. Okay, there's no questions. It's a long way to go up through this. So clearly the rant is either hit the mark or people have bounced. But anyway, if there are any questions, love to hear them before I finish up this double-bagged cup of tea and get out of here. Nothing. Make sure I've got everything covered off here. Anyway, 5 years of Money Mail. We're deep into this project to try and improve the financial literacy of 100,000 Kiwi people. There's still work to do, obviously. We're doing it in one of the toughest economies that apparently people have seen since the 90s. I'm speaking to older business owners and they're telling me, shit, I ain't seen nothing like this for some time. This is gnarly. I did a post recently as well about employees. Just be very careful. There are still business owners that are out there that are on the brink, or they are thinking about laying people off. You might want to search the unemployment proof type podcasts and skills pay the bills and things to look at, okay, what would you do if that happens for you? What do you know about the logging industry? It's what I do for work, but it's so up and down. I've now had to no work for 6 weeks because China keep dropping log prices. Such a hard industry. Yeah, sure. I don't know a lot about it, but every now and then people from the transport type industry and your industry will drop me data that I'll read, and I think, man, that is it's a bit beyond me. But yeah, sometimes it looks like it's very volatile. So I guess if your industry that you work in is up and down, well then, you've got to figure out how do you smooth that out. So what other skills can you lean on, or levers do you have that you can de-risk it? So you never want to be reliant on that. It'd be like me as an accountant, if all I did was go and get logging clients, okay? What would my business look like? What would my life look like? You would tell me, or the advice to me would be, you need to diversify, okay? You need to think about getting some clients that aren't so close to logging. And I have to think about that too in my business. Do we want to do construction only? Do we want to do retail only? Do we want to do e-commerce only? We don't do something only, and that's how we diversify. There's no reason that you can't think about that too, and that we all can't take something from that. Tim says, learned how to use a camera. Brought a cheap one off my credit card. Credit card? You taking the piss? Okay. Looks like we're investing with that credit. Reached out to businesses, landed 2 clients, paid the credit card off straight away, then cut it in half and chucked it in the bin. What the fuck is that? That's what I'm talking about. Jeez, like it's not that hard. I learned how to use a camera. Brought a cheap one. With credit. Reached out to businesses. Oh, that's the hard bit. Oh, what if they say no? Fuck, I don't know. Message the next one. Landed 2 clients, paid the credit card straight off, then cut it in half and chucked that shit in the bin. Well done. Masterclass. Adding value. Like finding problems and then solving them. So solutions to people's problems. You know, the crazy thing that I didn't touch on, that we all need to be aware of too, is that we're allegedly living through the greatest technology shift in history. And someone just said, when AI coming online rapidly and putting people out of work, how will the economy improve if software does a job for free, whereas if people would have been paid previously, i.e. less money going around? Exactly. So, like, imagine if the economy gets better and then bang, like AI is here. Oh shit, New Zealand's been sleeping under a rock. Because you know how many times AI was mentioned in the budget last week? I couldn't find it. So what are you going to do then? Like when you realise, oh, AI's taking jobs, you're like, fuck, government should have told me about that as well. Oh, they didn't even, so they're probably not even using it. So you got to think about it. Like even I'm thinking, shit, does it take some of my accounting work? Does it take some of my advisory work? What do I need to be thinking about? You know, and I've got to do my own research to figure that out. But I'll tell you what, AI has actually made me more productive, and my output has increased, and my income has increased from using it as well. So I'm not too scared about it, like taking jobs. I would if my job was basically the same thing all the time, but I'll back myself to innovate. But we've all got to live through that as well. So there's some people that are going to be freaking out, you know, that everything's just magically, the economy's going to be better, then it's going to be like, oh, hey, you know, we're cutting some roles because we've now implemented AI. I don't know how long we've got with that, but that seems to be what people are worried about. But you'd think people would start taking action. Mike and I are going to sit down and do like a full how to AI proof yourself, and that's just our take on it. We'd probably be wildly wrong, but you know, I did a video recently about this, and it's like, if you need to be AI proof, you probably just need all of the normal basics times by longer. So, you know, longer emergency fund, not over leverage yourself, not have debt, diversify your income streams, figure out what skills you have, figure out other ways you can make income. Like there's still going to be money in the system unless the robots take all the money and they have it and an AI company gets it. I don't know who owns those. But there will still be money in the system. So then we're going to have to figure out, fuck, how do we get close to it? Okay? Otherwise you're going to be on some shitty benefit that you never wanted. Sorry, that sounds really bad. On a benefit that isn't enough for the goals that you have, and then you're going to be pissed off at the world. And I don't want that for you, and you don't want that for yourself. So start thinking about it now. Someone says, yeah, I've been trying to find something else to do. Had to go at crypto, got money in shares. That's like gambling with the money that you have. So for me, Aussie is looking good as I used to work in the mines. Skills, like gambling, crypto, shares, etc. That's probably not going to be the thing that diversifies you. For like the 0.01% that ace that, it's skills, it's adding value. That's how you get more money. You then invest that money. A friend message the other day said they now have $77 an hour. Hard to pass that up. Yep, but I get it. Fair enough. It would be very hard to pass that up. Wanted a drone but couldn't afford it in cash. Reached out to more clients, landed one big one, brought on Afterpay, then paid it off straight away, then deleted the app. Man, you are out there hustling. So some people, like, they're willing to do it and others aren't. But so many more people have it in them than they realise. Like, everybody's got fucking $10,000 or something sitting in their phone contact list or their neighbourhood. You just got to go and ask. And just, like, even me, we've got databases. I have to go to them and help them to get paid. It's the same as you. It's the same as anybody. Righto. We're getting a bit bloody preachy now, aren't we? 8:35. I'll probably need to rein it in before trying to get to sleep. If AI causes the economy to contract, could that result in deflation? Oh, well, yeah, potentially. Like, you've got to think about this, right? If AI is that powerful and then there's all these robots, like, what are they going to come to New Zealand and do? What's the number one problem that we have in New Zealand? We don't have enough houses. That's what we're told, right? Okay. You reckon the government are going to agree to that? Hey, we need you to build 400,000 houses. Bang. Housing crisis. Solved. Now what's your house worth? If there's 400,000 like that, built in 2 years, build up. Oh, we don't have the land. Oh, we'll build 70 stories up. AI can do it. Robots can do it. Now what's your house worth? What happens to all that wealth? People, no one talking about that. Do you think they'll let that happen? If the whole country's wealth is built on property, do you think they'll let that happen? Not sure, but maybe. And maybe all of the wealth in housing gets crushed down, and maybe the economy really, really creaks then because we can't borrow against it. Oh shit, now our loans are more than our assets because AI built fucking 400,000 houses. Like, this is the sort of shit people are messaging me about. So if you want to go worst case scenario with it, well, we've all got to come to terms of our assets going to zero on paper then, apparently. If you had 100k in a shit paying job, what would you do without lying around asking for a friend? Oh shit, okay. If you had 100k in a shit paying job, do you earn 100k or you've got 100k? If you've got 100k, you've got more money than most people do in this country. And that can last you a long time. So you got a massive backstop there. So let's say you've got the 100k and you've got a shit paying job that you don't like, okay? Because A, is there opportunity in the shit paying job? If there's not and you want to earn more, well then, is that the right vehicle to be in? No? Great. But you've got cash. Most people are in the wrong vehicle and acknowledge that but can't do anything about it, and that sucks for them. So you've got 100 rack. Well, I would be building a cash flow spreadsheet because I'm an accountant and working out how long is my 100 grand going to last me if I don't have any income but I have these expenses. Now look at each of those expenses and go, what can I strip out? You might have to move home. You might have to go flatting. You might have to decrease your nights out. You might have to go underground. You might have to get rid of all your subscriptions. You might have to bin the OnlyFans for 3 months. Whatever. What can you take out so that your cash is going to last you longer? Then you've got to do some work. You want to do some brainstorming to start with. What do I like doing? How can I add the most value to the world? Where does the world need me working? Where do I show my best? What do people say that I'm good at? What do I really want to do? Why am I not doing it? And you've got to go through that exercise and be like, okay, maybe I want to aim over there. And then maybe you go out and you put some offers out there and you see if you can actually do it. And maybe you turn that into cash and you know, shit, the market just told me that it's willing to pay me to clean people's decks. And then you become the best deck cleaner in the country or whatever. Whatever your thing is, right? But you've got a $100,000 backstop. That's insane. That's sick. That'll last you for ages if you go real frugal. So I'm a big fan of always trying to work towards your strengths and the things that you actually like doing. Hopefully that answers the question. Has 100k. Epic. Because like what you're thinking about, maybe, just speaking on your behalf, but you're probably thinking, well, like I want to maximize the income in the low paying job. Maybe that's not possible, so we have to be realistic. Like, what do I do with my 100k? So you're talking about investing 100 grand. But like cash and money is a tool. It's a resource, right? So you get to use it for what you want. So it's like a digger. And now you get to choose, like, what do you do with the digger? Or a spade is probably a better example. So you just got the spade sitting there in the shed, but now you might need to get out there and actually use it. But I think we're so obsessed with like turning it into more, but you can deploy it. So sometimes I take cash and I don't go like, oh, I'll invest it in a company. I'll invest it in myself. Like I'll spend some money on training. I'll invest into some new marketing. I'll buy some new equipment. And then I use it. I use the new tool. So I swap my tool, the cash, right? And I buy a new tool with it. And I use that tool to then go to the market and help me be somebody that I once wasn't. Okay? So like this phone is held by a stand. That cost me money. I had to swap some of my tool for that. Then I actually have to use the tool to make it valuable to me, right? So if you've got 100 grand worth of tools, you're in an epic position to then figure out what do you actually want to build? What do you want to do with that? If the answer you wanted was like, oh, I invested in the S&P 500 and hopefully your 100 grand in a year's time is worth $109,000, how's your life different? How did I actually help you? I didn't. You're still in the same position. You got another 9 grand. You're like, oh, should I sell? Should I not? But if you haven't solved the vehicle that you're driving, then what are you really solving? So if it's not going to get you to where you want to go, we have to address the vehicle that we're in. And you're in a very good position to do that. I hope that helps. In a weird spot right now, we're not sure if I should go to uni for accounting. Wary of committing 3 years in debt to an industry at this time. Well, obviously, I shouldn't say not go and do accounting, but yeah, I don't know about studying at the moment with just so much AI and whatnot. You got to like, I saw, no, I won't tell that story. Like think about what the world's going to look like in 3 years. Can you learn this stuff? Like, why do we want to go study for 3 years to find out if we want to be an accountant? Then you're going to be an entry-level accountant. So that could be, you want to study things you really like doing, okay? Cheers for you, mate, and all good. Old Dave Ramsey, zero debt and sitting on a solid cash. Yeah, well done, bro. That's epic. Like, you've done so well. Or if I should just send something like sales. Oh, sales is, a good skill to have. Unsure of which skills to commit to. Yeah, it is hard, Have a think. When are you getting Mikey back on? Yeah, he's around the country doing bloody rental properties. I'm sure of it. He's not telling us. He's fucking hard to pin down. If you want to think about what skills to hone in on, maybe have a think about what interests you have. So go and have a look at your most viewed sites, and what do you watch on YouTube? What do you listen to? What do you talk about? Talk to your parents, your friends, and stuff. What do you think I'm interested in? What am I often talking about? And maybe that's where you want to aim yourself. So it doesn't mean, okay, you're always watching golf things, you should become a golfer, okay? Maybe you want to do something in the golfing industry. Maybe you sand some floors like Abstract Floors. Best flooring company in the country. Look them up, Abstract Floors, out there in the Mount Maunganui. They're doing the hard work. What am I good at? Yeah, what are you good at? Have a think about that. Do some brainstorming on that. It's weird. Oh, pocket text. Oh, you were messaging on here instead of making some notes. Nice. It's crazy that in New Zealand, it's it's not a thing to do, to think about what you're good at. But I tell you what, Ethan de Groot, who just re-signed to play rugby here for longer, he doesn't go to fucking training tomorrow and be like, I think I'm pretty good at passing, which he would be a lot better than most of us, so I'm going to play halfback this weekend. But what are you talking about, you dick? You're not paying, no. Okay? So that's normal for them. So it's all good to get good at things and get even better at them. Brand new to your content and really enjoying it. I'm over 40, being a blue-collar employee for 20 plus years, want to start my own business for the first time. Way behind on what other blind spots. Epic. Hey, 40, you're still young. That's what we have to remember too. A lot of success comes to people later on in life. The sooner you find things that you enjoy doing, I think life feels more exciting. I'm nearly 40, and I was pissing around in my 20s as well. Who have studied X, turn it into a business? Who have studied X, turn it into a business, staying up? I don't know what that means. Oh, every day I see people, sorry I missed this. Every day I see people who have studied X, turned it into a business, staying up. I don't know what that means, sorry. But anybody can start a business in this day and age, because the tech has changed, and that was at the start of this video. Way behind on tech skills. What other blind spots am I likely to walk into? I just start listening to business owners' podcasts. There's a What's Next podcast. We talk about all the work that we do with clients and shit. You'll learn heaps about business. It's all free. There's 500 episodes. There's interviews with business owners and stuff. But yeah, I'd just be learning. But honestly, there's nothing better than the real deal, like getting in the arena. That's the best way to learn. Well, I think. To date with AI or tech, but using their background, innovate, plus your education. Okay, nice. I think you're saying that people are starting businesses with AI or tech, but using their background, innovate. All right, so maybe I would be okay, how to clock Instagram and build to 50,000 followers, and then I'd teach people how to use AI as part of that or something and turn that into money or an income stream. Kind of makes sense. Education, yeah, use your... Right, I can't keep up. There's just people coming and going. When would you recommend turning a side hustle into an actual tax registered business? Oh shit, man. There's a post on the profile. So that's sorry to let you know. In New Zealand, you're taxed on everything except property gains. You're not taxed on those, basically, unless you sell them in 2 years. So basically what that means is that if you're asking that question, your side hustle is probably already taxable. So you have your income less your expenses, and that's your profit, and that's what you pay tax on. So if you're routinely or repeatedly, I'm going to do a money mail on this soon too, actually. When is your side hustle taxable? But basically, if it's not just sort of a one-off, you've got some fee jobbers out the front, you're kind of routinely doing stuff and it's got some regularity, you're probably running a business in the eyes of the IRD and need to declare that income. Righto, I might get out of here because I'll stay for another 15, and that's been 45 minutes, and I know that no one's going to sit through and listen to that whole thing. I might strip the audio down. That's where I'm wearing these sexy wired, what are they called? headphones. Carlos. Carlos, drop me a line, Carlos. I haven't seen you in ages, bro. I was thinking about you the other day, actually. I'd love to know how you're getting on, bro. Also, every time I wear these, people are like, what are you wearing those for? And then then I get all these messages being like, shit, you shouldn't be wearing headphones, the Bluetooth ones. Bluetooth's bad for your brain and stuff. That seems to be a really hot topic of conversation. Anyway, a big summary of just things that I'm thinking about at the moment. It took me 45 minutes to get through them, plus some questions at the end there, obviously. Look after yourselves. Please look after yourselves. It will get better, the economy will get better, but it'll get better faster by you deciding that you want it to be better. And there are ways for your life to be better without waiting for that to happen. Thanks to bringing New Zealanders to reality, brother. Out here trying my little bit. No, it's not for everybody. One thing I do is to upskill is to get in front of people that have those skills and learn from them. Don't be shy. If they're as titled as a CEO, they're just people. Amen. I went to lunch the other day with an accountant who's 30, 40 years my senior. I'm like, hey, mate, can I ask you about this? Or, hey, when was the first time in your career you faced this? Or, I'm trying to, something feels like this for me at the moment. Have you experienced that? What could that be? How could I think about it differently? People are so willing to help you, especially in this country. That, again, you turn this thing on, oh, no, they're not, everyone's against you. No, reach out to people who are doing well. Reach out to people that you want to learn from. Find ways that you can, add value to their life as well. And I did a podcast, how to approach someone. There are so many resources when I think about it with Keep the Change that, they help you completely change your life if you want to. But you got to want to, and that's up to you to decide. Anyway, I want you to, so that's why I create the content. Be good out there, and we'll see you in the next one.